So in the beers here, we're trying a couple of beers today. These are, you know, beers that you guys rotate through, and that's, you know, a big part of your program.
We do. We try to, you know, stay on top of whatever's coming in that's new or exciting. And I guess the two we have here now, as it turns out, I am drinking the Koningshoven Double, which just recently came back in keg form. Back in the day, we had it when it was La Trappe, and it was certainly, I think that this was probably the beer that sort of started our what we would become. From the, you know, the
yeah, because it was a very, you know, back in the day, it was one of the few Belgians that you could get.
Right, and we were the only ones pretty much selling it,
Belgian style,
any kind of regularity. And then I guess you have the DuPont Avril, which is a fantastic little, basically session Belgian beer, which there isn't many of those. Table beer.
The table beer,
3.5%. Both of them are beautiful beers, and what's great is we have them for a while and then they're gone, so you always crave them.
So people wait for it to come back.
Exactly. For the longest time, we were limited here in Georgia to 6% alcohol, which I'm sure you know about that one. And we were one of the key people who, over the years, for the longest time, from the time we opened, trying to get that cap lifted. And luckily, after about 7 years of trying, back in 2004, we got that law change, which allows Georgia
really opened the door,
totally opened the door. And then we realized, you know, Brickstore was already kind of known for the eclectic beer, but you know, it's kind of funny looking back now and what was actually available. I think it was more about what we didn't carry more than what we were carrying at that point. We've never, you know, done the big three or really any domestic, you know, major domestic or any kind of macro style beer. So not doing that sort of separated us from everybody else.
Yeah, it's kind of a natural fit for you guys,
yeah, and it wasn't until we got that law change where we knew we needed more space for all this new beer that was going to be coming in, and lo and behold, we had this space up here where we're sitting. The way we do things, we just kind of broke through the wall and added this second story, which is it's our Belgian beer bar, which is strictly Belgian beer, Belgian style. And it's great because we got all that up here, and then it freed up all the space down there for what's now become predominantly American craft. You know, up here in the Belgian bar, we have 8 taps that rotate all the time, and then about 120 bottle. Downstairs, 17 taps with a beer engine, and about 80 bottles, I guess, 60 to 70 bottles, something like that. I can't remember anymore. And same down there, you know, we have a couple staples, but for the most part, same kind of idea of
rotational. Yeah. Man, the excitement you guys have created up here in this bar is just amazing to me.
Yeah, well, it's. I think it's, you know, we're lucky enough to have a very cool old building, which reeks of character.
Starts getting into a lot of the Belgian stuff because we do have a lot of Belgians. We've got, you know, still knocked and stuff back to 03 and 04. We have a pretty nice vertical of a lot of the Dole products, and we also are big St. Bernardus fans, so we have a whole bunch of St. Bernardus and Guten Carolus, and of course all the Trappist stuff. It's, you know, like I said, we got 3 or 4 bottles of each case, and we're gonna, you know, sample a lot of these out over time. Fantôme, Lindemann's Cuvée René, Petrus Aged Pale Ale, St. Fulian, Noel, Oud Goose, bunch of Cantillon stuff, the Orbeer Reserva, Still Knox, Durank, of course all the Trappist stuff, and Urfel, Leafman's.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Quite a room,
We're big fans of sours and lambics and stuff like that, so a lot of in here in the Belgian room is where we keep like a lot of the obscure Belgians. The purpose was to, you know, get started and formulate or form a list of beers that we could eventually put on like a nice vintage page or do verticals and stuff with, like I said.
And when do you determine when you're going to start putting those on the menu?
Well, that was the whole idea behind the rack system out there, was that it's basically going to be up to our pallets to decide when this stuff goes out. I mean, there is some stuff out there.
That's the tricky part. Is it's obviously everything we have down here is fantastic and it's great now. I guess the trick is, because it only gets, I mean, it does get better. Clearly, that's why we're doing this. But I guess we got to be careful that it's not over.
It reaches a point where it.
Well, it's the same thing with wine. People understand how wine ages, and then it hits that plateau, and then it goes the other direction.
So we got to be a little bit careful about that. But
and
there's lots of quality control, right?
Yeah. Well, that's part of the job, man.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of information out there about the wine, and quite frankly, there's not that much about beer. So it's a relatively new thing for us, and as well as a lot of people.
A lot of people,
So based on what we know about aging beer, we try and stick to those particular styles and bottle reconditioned beers and stuff like that. But Cantillons and certain beers, everybody knows, they're going to be good no matter what. So there are some things that we feel are foolproof, but so we try not to buy anything but those particular styles and different type of beers that we know are going to age well.
Right.
Yeah. Here is our import area. That is, all of this is imported but non-Belgian. We do have a lot of McKellar stuff. We're big McKellar fans, as I think a lot of people are. J.W. Lee's Harvest Ales, Sammy Claus, the Nonya O.
Nergner.
Yeah, something like that. Brewdog, a bunch of Hitachino, Dolly Raptor. We do have a bunch of the Italian micros and stuff now. Nils Oscar. We got some Olfbricken and of course, Abbey St. Bonchien. Quite a few different Unibrews. We love Fuller's. It's probably Dave's, one of his all-time favorites is Fuller's Vintage. So we've got, starting back at 2005 up to the new 2008s, and we plan on hopefully filling this whole area with that.
Yes, we are. Correct.
And so all of the stuff that you see in the boxes is represented on the shelves. And like I said, some of it, depending on how much we can get or how much we really like the beer, it depends on how many cases we buy.
Right. I think we started buying, from the get-go, knowing that if we were going to start the cellar program, obviously anybody's, my feeling is people would always get the oldest thing that they could get. So you'll notice we probably have the most of 2006, I guess is when or 7, I guess is when we really started buying. So we have a whole bunch of 7, and then we kind of started cutting back a little bit as we go along. So I think at some point here pretty soon we'll probably start. I mean, it would be good to get at least 4 to 5 years on most of it before we really put it out there.
Really put it on the menu.